Hello, hello, hello. How are you? This is Els coming from Bemis Crafty Corner, and today we're going to be doing this. I know it looks just like a tag, doesn't it? But if you can see that, do you see that? This is a tag made out of a window envelope, and we've embossed the window. Yeah, there you go. Check that out. So that's what we're going to be doing today. I'm going to get out a list of supplies, and we're going to get this worked out, and I'm going to show you how to do it. I will be right back. Okay, let's see. What are we going to need to do this one? Adhesive, scissors, washi tape, or you could use a piece of paper if you want it to at the top. It's entirely up to you. Hole punch and eyelets. You're going to need some junk mail with the window, or an envelope with a window, it doesn't matter. An image to put on the inside. And then you're going to need an embossing folder, and this can be a full-size embossing folder. This one just happens to be a small one that I have, just a strip, and it works pretty well for this purpose. And a machine to emboss with, whether you're doing that with your Big Shot, your Cuttlebug, whatever. You're going to want a machine to emboss and a paper trimmer. So that's the basics. Ink. I think that's everything. That's everything. All right. So to get started, we're going to pick an image. Now, I just pulled this one out of the book. This is from Wildflowers of Britain, Month by Month, from Margaret Erkinson Wilson. And it just has some, unfortunately, they are double-sided. So you kind of have to go, well, which one do I like better? But it's got some nice little illustrations in it, and they're decent size for making small projects. And since we're making a small project, that's what I've got. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut down our envelope. So I'm going to get all of this out of the way, grab my paper trimmer, and we're going to get started on that, and then we'll come back and we'll work on the rest, okay? I'll be right back. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is kind of decide, what envelope we're going to be using and how we're going to be using it. So for an envelope like this, where the piece is very low, we're only going to cut off one side. So we'll just decide how wide we want our tag to be. And then we'll cut off that outside. Okay. Now, if it's like this, it's okay. We'll just cover it. If you want to make it a little bit smaller, you can do that. Let's do 2 3/4 so that it looks a little more less room over here. Okay. So for that, it's pretty simple at that point. Then you're just going to cut off this end. Keep that. It makes a cute little corner pocket. We'll talk about that later. And then I'm going to open up the bottom as well. Now, you don't have to open up the bottom if you don't want to. I just find that it's actually easier if I open the bottom up. But if you don't want to, don't do it. All right? So now I have my piece. And that is going to be the piece that I'm going to use. Now, if you're using the other kind of envelope, which is this wider one, for this, what I would recommend is that you just cut off the top and the bottom. Now let's get this even. Okay. And then you can just cut off this top piece wherever you want your tag to be. All right. Get this out of the way. So now that I have these cut, and this one opens this way, and then this one is going to open this way. Now that I have these cut, we'll go ahead and get started on the next part of this, all right? So I'm going to get out the machine and I'll be right back. So I'm going to go ahead and put my embossing folder on here, and I'm covering the window with it. Now, if you're using an embossing tool and it tells you to use this shim, if you're embossing a single sheet of paper, don't do it, because what will happen is the cellophane that's in these windows is so thin that it will cut right through it, okay? And you don't want to do that. So, embossing plates, embossing machine. And I'm just going to run this through one time. That's it. Now, I have the paper in the back, so the embossing file, the embossing folder is only on the front piece, okay? And when I take that off, you can see that it's been embossed and it's not torn or cut up, okay? And we're going to use a bigger one on this one, but I want to kind of work through this one first, okay? So once we have that, the next thing is we've got to put something inside of there. So that's where this comes in. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim a little bit of this off. And this is kind of all about visuals. All right, so that works for me. So from my edge over, it's about 2 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this at 2. And then I'm going to kind of measure top to bottom where I want to go. Now, this says April, and I don't want that to show, so I'm going to bring that below my window. And I'm just going to mark this so I know I have to cut it where I have to cut it, okay? And then I'm going to go ahead and put some glue around my window on the inside. And then I'm going to go ahead and put this on right up against the fold. Right where I want it. Go ahead and press that down. And then I'm going to go ahead and seal this closed. Now, since I'm going to put paper over this back piece, it's not that big of a deal. Okay. Closing that up. And I'm going to let this dry. All right, I'm going to get the bigger embossing folder and I'll be right back. So let's take a second to talk about embossing folders, because not all embossing folders are created equal. See this one? Do you see how busy this is? Okay, let me tell you, we've got dragonflies and we've got butterflies and we have gears, and it's all very tight. This one, on the other hand, not so tight. This is what we're looking for. This is going to cut your cellophane, and it's not going to work, okay? So again, we're going to use just the 2 plates. And I'm going to show you what's going to happen here. See how this is not going to fit? Well, we're going to go to the side, okay? Now that means we're going to have some embossing here. So what I will do is I will put this all the way across, just in the area where the window is, okay? Now again, this is going to crease this, but that's okay because we're going to be putting a back on it later, all right? But we want it tucked away from the embossing. Nice and easy. I'm only going one direction. I'm not going both directions because I don't want to overly emboss this, okay? And now we have a nice embossing on our window and on our piece, and that's what we're looking for. All right, so I'm gonna get this stuff put away and I'll be back and we'll get this one figured out. All right, so our process on this is pretty much the same. We're just gonna kind of measure the width, which is about 3 inches, and we need an image that's about 3 by 4.5. Let's see what we got. Not wide enough. We're gonna have to get another page. Okay. 3 by 4.5. So we need something that's 3 inches wide. About 4.5 inches tall. All right, so let's see. 4.5. Perfect. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and put some glue around here. We're going to glue this image down. Remember, that's the top. And I'm going to go ahead and seal this up. Helps if you put a little glue on here too. Okay. All right. Now, we're going to trim this a little at the top because we don't want, that's a little bit of a big tag. So let's take about 1/2 inch off of that. This one I'm okay with. So the next thing is going to be to back these. And I have some scrap paper right here. You can also use like an index card, you know, something like that. But I do have some scrap paper, so I'm going to go ahead and put this here. And what I'm going to do is just glue it down to the scrap paper. Okay? So I'm just going to put some glue on the back. Now this one, I'm going to use paper on. I'm not going to use washi tape. So the other one will be using washi tape, and I'll show you. It's a little bit different of a process. Alright, so for this one, we're just going to glue it down. We're going to set that to the side. Now on this one, we want to use washi tape, okay? So I'm going to cut my piece at the top first. Let's see. Doop. There we go. So I'm just going to put this in, line it up on the sides. And then I'm going to trim. Okay. And then, sorry about the arm there, guys, but everything's in front. Then I'm just going to do the same type of a thing here. I'm going to put my washi tape on. And I think I'm going to do like 1.5, and I'm going to tear this one. And then I'll put a little ink on that torn edge. And then I'm going to go ahead and put that on there. And then a little bit of glue on the back just to adhere it. And then I'm going to fold these in. And then once I have those all folded in, then I'm going to put glue on it and put it down on the paper. Okay? Okay. Right there. Okay, now trim this out, trim the other one out, poke some holes in them, ink them, and we're done. All right, so I'm going to trim this, trim this, just like that. And then I'm going to trim this one. And this one's like 90% done, because all I need to do here to finish this one off is just to put in my eyelet. And ink. So I'm going to round some corners. Here and here. And add some ink. Put in the hole right there. Grab an eyelet. Yeah, I got this bag of eyelets. It's I gotta figure out what to do. I gotta open and go through it, but you know, in the meantime, using them up. And that goes on there. Give it a little squeeze, and I have a tag with a beautifully embossed center. Next, we're gonna finish this one. Okay? So to finish this one, all we're gonna do is we're going to cut our angles, but before we do that, we're going to put our paper on. So let me grab a piece of paper, and this can be any, you know, any scrap piece you have, and I happen to have this, and this one is 2 3/4 inches, so I'm going to cut a strip that's 2 3/4 inches. By 2 inches. And then I'm going to fold that in half. Now I can use my scoreboard or I can fold it, either way. But I think for a 2 3-inch piece of paper, I think I can trust myself to fold it. And then I'm just going to take this, put some adhesive on the top and, you know, the front and the back of it, like this. And then I'm going to put this in there. Look at that. Do the other side. Just like that. And then I kind of like the old style rounded corner tag. So that's what I'm going to be doing on this. There's a lot of weight in there. There we go. And again, I'm going to poke a hole and put in an eyelet hole. Eyelet. I'm going to round the bottom corners, ink this up. And that's it. It's done. So, if you're new here and you haven't done so already, hit the button for me. Subscribe. Why not, right? Doesn't cost you anything. Doesn't hurt you. Go ahead and subscribe. And then, you know, like me, ring my bell, share me with all your friends. Tell everybody about me. You know, hey, there's this weird lady. She does some crafting over there at Beam's Crafted Corner. Let's see what else. Check out my community tab here on the YouTube channel, or scoot on over to my Facebook group. There's a link to that in the description box below. And that is going to allow you to participate in a lot of fun things that we do over in the group. These are our tags for today. This is today's project. Let me see. This is the original. I made it really small compared, huh? But that's it. That's all I have until I see you again. Stay well, my friends. Bye-bye.